Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm putting together my May TBR, which is significantly more ambitious than my April one was, due in part to the fact that I am graduating right at the start of May. So I'll be done with my master's program on May 2nd, and I'm finishing up my last day of work as a GA on May 3rd, and after that, my life is just job hunting and hanging around my house. I've already started the application process. I've got quite a few applications out there that I'm waiting to hear back on. But that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing for the next several weeks at least, and hopefully not, but possibly months. So in order to keep myself from going entirely mad, my plan going forward is to basically split my days where I'm spending half of a day or maybe a little more working on the job hunting and the kind of application process, and the rest of my time is going to go towards kind of catching up on some housework and doing a lot of reading, hopefully. So to make the most of my reading time in May, to keep myself occupied when I'm not job hunting, I'm planning to participate in 3 readathons, and I'm very excited for all of them. The 3 that I've chosen are Horror MAYhem, May the Force Read With You, and Galactic-Thon, and I think we'll go through them in that order, but before I get to those, I do briefly want to mention a library book I'm also going to be reading. So I just picked up the other day, I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara, which is a true crime book about the Golden State Killer. I believe there is also a documentary, I want to say on Netflix maybe, but this was the current pick for Gavin, or Gavin Reads It All, his Patreon True Crime and Wine book club, which I think this is the first month it's a book club and not just like a documentary watching thing. So I'm excited for this. I joined just in time for this book to be picked, and I'm looking forward to reading it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but my partner has read it and said it was really good. Then moving on to the readathons, the first one I want to talk about is Horror MAYhem, and I'm starting here because I'm not planning to choose books ahead of time for this readathon. This one has like weekly prompts, and I just want to kind of mood read in those prompts as the month progresses, because the other readathons did kind of require that I pulled some specific things, so I wanted to give myself a little bit of mood reading space. So I'll just go through the weekly prompts for Horror MAYhem, which are local horror, movie horror, classic horror, and contemporary horror. So I'm just going to be like mood reading in those each week, and I'm really looking forward to it. I have a few things picked out, I think, for contemporary horror, but other than that, I'm just going to pick up whatever I'm in the mood for as the month progresses. So then moving on to May the Force Read With You, this one I've participated in before. This is hosted by Eric over at Break Even Books. He and his partner Marcus put this together every year, and it's just so much fun every time I participated. This year it's bigger and better than ever though, because they've made it into a kind of choose your own adventure thing. So there's 5 different callings you can choose from, and each calling can do different prompts. So there's like light, neutral, and dark side prompts, and each calling can choose from different variations of those. I ultimately decided to go with the Bounty Hunter calling because this is the one that lets you choose from basically any category, and I'm incredibly indecisive. I'm not planning to choose a book for every prompt right now, just because, again, I want to give myself a little bit of mood reading space, and if I did that, given the sheer number of prompts in the readathon this year, I would have like a 30-book TBR, which would just not be feasible. So for now, I've decided to just pick a prompt for the species options, and then I also want to pick one each of the light, neutral, and dark side prompts, because the bounty hunter can pick from any of those categories. So for the species prompt, I've chosen Togruta, which the prompt for this is to read either an art or poetry book or a book with an illustrated cover, and I've chosen to read The God and the Gumiho by Sophie Kim, which is an arc that I have for a book that comes out in June. And this one, I believe, is a fantasy romance following a trickster god who has been kicked out of the realm of the gods, and he's told that he can come back only if he kills a goddess and a famous Gumiho. So as he's trying to complete this little quest, what he doesn't know is that the Gumiho he's looking for just happens to be the barista at his favorite coffee shop, and she finds out what he's up to and decides to interfere with his investigation to keep him off her trail. It sounds like it's going to be super fun and a little bit like mischief and shenanigans ensue, so I'm really looking forward to this, and the cover is just absolutely gorgeous. Then for the light side prompt, I decided to go with Plant Surge, which is to read a book with trees on the cover, and I'm going to go with The Blinded Stars by Megan E. O'Keefe. They're a little hard to see, I think, but there are actually dead trees on the cover here. The prompt didn't say they had to be living, it just said they had to be trees. So we're going to fit this one in here because this is something I've been so excited to read. I've picked this up off my shelf so many times in the last month since I bought it and wanted to read it, but I can't because of school. So I really wanted to get this on my TBR, and this is the way that I'm doing it. From the neutral category, I decided to go with Battle Meditation, which was a really fun prompt that was on the list last year as well. And for this one, you do a random number generator, and you get a number between 0 and 3, and that's the number of books you need to read to get the prompt, or to get the points for the prompt, I should say. And for this one, you will see up here somewhere that I got a 3, because of course. But for this, I thought it would be really fun to read some horror novellas, because I have several on my shelf that I've been meaning to get to. So for Battle Meditation, I'm planning to read Linghun by Ai Zhang, which is about a creepy town where people go when they want to be haunted. I'm going to be reading The Hungry Earth by Nicholas Kaufman, which is a kind of murderous fungal horror kind of a thing. And I've been putting this one off. It's by one of my favorite authors, but I've been putting it off because I think it's going to freak me out pretty badly. And I feel like I just need to get over it and read it finally. And then finally, I'm going to be reading The Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, which is another one that's been kind of sitting on my shelves for far too long. And I believe this one is a slasher about a group of kids who are trapped in a movie theater with a possibly murderous mannequin, or maybe it's not the mannequin at all. Unclear exactly what's going on here, but I know that I love Stephen Graham Jones writing, and I'm excited to dive into it. Finally, for a dark side prompt, I've chosen Transfer Essence, and this one is to read a book where either the author's name is in bigger font than the title, or the author's name is longer than the title. And for this, I've chosen Foul Days by Genevieve Demova, and this is another book that's an arc that I need to get to before the book comes out in June. So this one is a kind of Witcher-esque story about this woman who's a monster hunter, and she has traded her shadow, which is the source of her powers, in exchange for passage into a walled city, but then a situation arises where she needs access to her powers again, only to discover that her ex, who happens to be the Tsar of Monsters, has her shadow, and she has to figure out how she's going to get it back. It sounds like it's going to be super fun and action-packed, and I'm really hopeful I'm going to like this one. Moving on to the final readathon, this is Galactic-Thon, and I'm joining Team AI. This is a competitive team-based readathon, so thus the teams. And I believe this one has like an actual storyline, so as the month progresses, we're going to be getting like chunks of the story, which I'm very excited about. But I chose Team AI because I really like the prompts for this team. Also, I can't remember who the original creator for this is, but I'll link the announcement video that I saw for this down in the description below. I should have said earlier that all of the announcements I've seen for these readathons will be in the description down below, but the one that I saw for this was on Noelle 7 Pages channel, and she also happens to be one of the co-hosts for Team AI. So looking at the team prompts, the first one is Initiating Systems. Read a book that features a new beginning or the start of a journey, and I'm going to be using The Lighted Stars for this as well. I wanted to get some kind of overlap in there, but this one is following these characters as they begin a journey and try to survive on a dead planet. I don't think I said what the book was about before, but it's about a rebel and the heir to a galactic empire who end up stranded on a dead planet together and have to survive. So they're like traveling across this planet. So then the second prompt is Upgrade Potential. Read a book that features scientific or technological discovery or advancement, and I've chosen The Eterna Files by Leanna Renee Heber, or Huber. I'm not exactly sure how that's pronounced, but this one is about a world where a research team has discovered the formula for immortality, but then the research team is suddenly shut down, and there's all these different people who are now hunting for that formula and trying to get it for various political reasons mostly. So it sounds like it could be really fun. I don't know much about this beyond that kind of basic premise, and I haven't heard anyone talk about this, so I really don't know what to expect. The next prompt is Defenses Down. Read a book set during a pandemic that features a disease or featuring an AI gone wrong, and I've chosen The Salt Line by Holly Goddard Jones. Similar to The Hungry Earth, this is another one that's been sitting on my shelf for a long time because I've been scared to read it. There's deadly ticks in this, and I have tried to read it a couple of times, and it's kind of really freaked me out. But I really want to get over that and finally read this book. And this one is also by a local author. I bought it at a local indie bookstore, and I really would like to finally read it. And so I think it's also on my like self-destructing books list for the year too. But this particular story is about this post-apocalyptic future where ticks have begun spreading this like horrific disease that kills you in a matter of minutes, hours, or days. I can't remember exactly the timeline, but in this world everybody lives behind the salt line, which is this scorched earth barrier that prevents the ticks from kind of attacking society or what's left of it. But this is following a group of people who've gone on an extreme tourism trip outside of the salt line, only to be captured by like raiders or something like that, and they have to decide like what they're willing to do to get back into the salt line. The penultimate prompt is read a book featuring an morally gray character or an epic space adventure, and I think I have a book that features both. So I'm going to be reading for this one The Red Scholar's Wake by Allie Bedard, which is a sci-fi romance, And this one is following a woman who is captured by space pirates, and she's fully expecting to be killed because this particular fleet is known for their cruelty, except the captain instead asks her to help solve a murder mystery, because the captain's wife has recently been murdered, and the captain wants to know why. The captain, by the way, happens to be a sentient spaceship, and the book features a romance between the woman and the spaceship. So I'm very excited about this one, and I think that the captain is intended to be kind of a morally gray character, but also there is this, like, bigger space pirate war happening in the background, or that's, like, a part of the plot, so I think that also is going to be, like, an epic space adventure element, and I feel like it works really well for this prompt. Finally, we have Mission Complete, read a 5-star prediction. This was a really easy pick for me because I went with The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I've given almost every book, actually every book I've read from her, either 4.5 or 5 stars, and I fully expect to give this one 4.5 or 5 stars as well, so this is a really easy pick for this. This particular book is a retelling of The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is actually a book I don't like, but this book is following Dr. Moreau's daughter, and this unusual man arrives on the island and starts asking questions about her father's experiments, and it sounds like all hell kind of breaks loose, so I think that sounds super fun, and again, I just really love Sylvia Moreno Garcia's writing, so I think this is going to be a really great book to kind of cap off the readathon. There are also a bunch of bonus prompts and some navigator prompts that you can do throughout the month, but I'm just starting here to, again, not completely overwhelm myself, so I feel like this is going to be a good starting point. Maybe if I'm lucky I'll be able to read more throughout the month, but we'll see. If I can get them in frame. These are all of the books that I'm currently planning to read in May, plus a couple of arcs, and I'm really excited about this stack. I'm looking forward to my May reading, and I'm hopeful that I'm going to be able to read a lot. I think that it's going to be good for me to have a hobby going on, a distraction during the job hunting that I'm going to be doing in May as well. So I think this is going to be a really fun month, at least in terms of reading, maybe not so much otherwise, but I'm looking forward to diving into all of these books because I'm so excited for all of them. So I think that's pretty much all I have for you today. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to be participating in any of these readathons and what you're going to be reading in May. And if you want to comment but you don't know what to say, put a spaceship emoji for all of the sci-fi on my list this month. So I think that's pretty much it from me for now. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I hope you'll consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.